Welcome back to the Real Talk Corner podcast, where we dive deep into personal journeys and topics that can inspire and transform us on a mind, body, soul, and spirit level. I am your host, Ariana Gutierrez, and today I am joined with a special guest and a friend who I am privileged to call a friend in this life, Louisa Valentin, a spiritual life and fitness coach who will share insights on conquering micro goals and making self care a daily priority. Together, we'll explore practical strategies to break down your big dreams into manageable steps and the importance of prioritizing yourself every day. Get ready for an empowering episode filled with actionable advice and motivation. Let's get started. The Real Talk Corner. We back. We in the building. As I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, fighting my way through the darkness where the wicked don't rest. Conscious aware, truth I dare, shield tight to my chest. My tenacity can put these motherfuckers to the test. High priestess of fire, alchemistic desire. I say manifest and shit, even when I am tired. You can call me amazing by the bricks I've been laying, but you'll never call me lazy, cause my vibes are devastating. In the league of my own, spitting real talk energy. I know a little something about a thing called synergy. This is already throw with sending masses away from me. Listen up, cause we about to set your mind, body, and soul free.
Stop thinking that you're going to wake up on Monday morning and then have a perfect streak of perfect days where you do everything perfectly. You're not just going to decide on some random Sunday evening that you're going to wake up tomorrow and be a new person and do everything perfectly now, and it's going to be a straight line to the top. The objective is improvement, which means being a little bit better today than you were yesterday. When you're in a position where you have all these bad habits and you haven't developed the character traits to be the person you want to be, to think that you're just going to magically do that is ridiculous. You can't just change your personality on a whim. You have to incrementally change it over time by changing your actions. Don't think of it as, I'm going to be a new person. Think of it as, I'm going to get a little bit better every single day for the rest of my life.
All right, let's jump into this next episode of the Real Talk Corner with my wonderful guest, Louisa Valentin. In the house, she's been on the show quite a few times, but I'm gonna let her tell you a little bit about herself before we get into our theme today.
Hello, everybody. Thank you, as always, for having me, Ariana. Always a pleasure catching up with you and just being on the podcast. For those of you who haven't seen my face before, I'm Louisa Valentin. I'm a confidence and weight loss coach, as well as a spiritual mentor, a registered nurse, and just an all around cheerleader for those who are looking to improve their life, their health, and just get it all together. We can do it together. Just believe and find a way to create the life that you really want to live.
Right. You kind of changed some of your titles here. So what made you, because I know you've been just dabbling and trying to figure it out, like what exactly you want to focus on. And over this past, I feel like year, you've honed into fitness because you even have the podcast now.
Yes,
And
yes,
I will
that
have
is
the link
right.
for you guys to go check out her podcast. You got to go check out her podcast.
Yes, yes. And also a podcast host. Forgot to throw that one in there. But yes, I've really decided to hone in on fitness because it's just one of the things that I always seem to come back to, whether
Mhm.
that's personally or just helping other people that need to get that inspiration and just really focus on their health, because health is so much more than just that whole physical, I'm healthy, I have
Yeah.
good labs, or I'm a good weight, or whatever else.
Mhm.
But that mental health, that spiritual health, that physical health, there's so much to really bring it all together. And a lot of what's missing is the confidence that we are able to succeed, able to really achieve these goals. And that's where the confidence comes in. It's not just about, oh, I want to look good in the mirror or look good in a bathing suit, but
Mhm.
really having that confidence to believe in yourself that you can achieve whatever it is that you are trying to create for your life.
Definitely, definitely. I think that's probably, I think I was talking about this on another episode where I was like, some of the things I realized in the past 2 years, because I've been in Illinois 2 years. So now looking back, I'm like, I've realized that I was trying to push myself to do things when my mental health wasn't stable enough. So you're working through traumas, you're working through other things, and then you're trying to tack on this outside stuff, which is putting more weight on you, and you haven't even cleared yourself enough to be able to, incorporate this in your life. And it's just like, so I'm constantly hitting a wall, like, what am I doing wrong? What am I doing wrong? And it's just like, no, you're supposed to be taking care of this so that you can have that mental capacity to be like, I'm feeling good. I feel great, even though we know that, doing certain exercise, walking and things like that also do contribute to feeling better, especially getting out of the house, right? But I
Yes.
noticed that the mental health is a huge thing, and we kind of skip over that part of even having things to de-stress, or even to clear your energy, or just sit, basically like sit, decompress, and just kind of clear your day so that you're not constantly taking that
Yes.
into the next day, right?
Yes, I absolutely love that because it's so true. And that's why, just kind of sort of going into the topic of today with our micro habits,
Hmm.
having something around like my journal that was courtesy of you, but having a nice journal that you
So
like,
pretty.
a pen that you enjoy writing with, because that is so important that your writing utensil not only be attractive to you, but
Right.
also write smoothly. But just having it close by and being ready. So when you are having those mental blocks and not believing in yourself, or just things that are going on, that can be something that you do for your mental health. Just journaling. I love a good journal. I love writing and making other people write. So
Right.
I just always keep it as close to me as possible. So when the urge comes, bam, I have it here. I don't have to keep everything in here, because Lord knows the brain gets so jumbled and you just can't figure
Yeah.
it out. And that really helps, at least with my mental health.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of people do. I don't journal as much. Because I'm constantly typing on different things, and then I have like so many notes in my phone. I have so many notes. So you guys who are on your phone too, you can do the notes and quickly. I do a lot of voice notes because I have that program on my phone. So I do a lot of voice notes and stuff like that. And I started I'm always doing gratitude journals. So this one is my gratitude journal, which
Smart.
I do. The whole thing of being in gratitude, because we can get lost in the sauce of life. And so one of my micro goals was to continue to be find things to be thankful for and every day, and challenge myself to be different, because I can say the same things every day, right? I could say, oh, this and the house and the rent and this and money and whatever, but then it's like you have to start really looking around and going, what else do I appreciate it, that's around me? And I have a million things, of course. I have endless things in my home to say I'm thankful, but I do challenge myself. So the gratitude journal is probably the only journal that I actually write in. And I love that you talk about pens, because I'm like the colorful pen lady who has to have in there like the gel. They have to be the gel, because
Oh,
I
how they write, because they write so
love how they
smooth
write.
and
Yes.
pretty.
Yes, you can feel it. So I love that you brought that up. But if you even, I think some people overthink journaling also. And it's like, well, I don't have anything to say. Well, how about say that? Just start with that. Today, I have nothing to say. Some more stuff is going to come out. And I think people get too embarrassed with a lot of this. And I know that it could be also like other people that live in your house. Maybe you're in fear that someone will get the journal. You don't got to put your darkest secrets in the journal. Doesn't got to be your darkest secrets in the journal. But that letting things go and releasing, I think, is huge. So I love that you put that up. But yeah, we're talking about micro goals and conquering your micro goals and how we have these huge goals that we set. Like, I want to do this in 5 years and I want to be here. And so we're going back, thinking about just the micro goals to get us to those things that we want. Like, even if it's weight loss that you want to do, there's all of these little things you need to conquer, right? To get to that point, to lose that weight and beyond that. So that's what we're going to be looking and having more of an effective strategy to do these things so that you can achieve those larger goals. Because without the small ones, you're never going to get to the huge ones. You just can't see it, right? It's blurry. You can't see that far. And you're like, why didn't I get to where I need to be? So that's what we're talking about today, you guys. Manageable steps. There's a couple things that I wanted to break down for them and get how you feel. So first, I wanted to talk about the being clarity and being specific. So
Yes.
how do you look at that when we're looking at micro goals, and we'll do a couple subjects, maybe weight loss, maybe
Sure.
confidence or something like that, to kind of break it down and give them some examples.
Well, one of the biggest things is your why, because we know if we don't have that reason to make us really want to go for that goal, and to have that why during the times that are hard, during the
Mhm.
times that we don't feel like doing it, during the times that we have other things that are popping up
Right.
in our life. Without that, we're going to go ahead and just give up or put it to
Right.
the side. And how often do we really go back to it when we do that? Not very often. So,
Right.
first, let's get that why and make sure that it's important to you. So,
Mhm.
like how I mentioned before, oh, I want to look good in a bathing suit. Yeah,
Right.
okay. We all probably want to look good in a bathing suit, but is that big enough? Is that good enough for the times where, oh, we were invited to dinner and then, oh, tomorrow we're invited for drinks. And oh, I'm in the mood for a bag of cookies.
Right.
Not to say that you can't do these things or have them, but come on, moderation and without having the why to always bring you back on track, you're just going to not succeed at what you are trying to accomplish.
Oh, definitely. I'll say this as far as the vague goals, and that's definitely something that I've even learned to be more of. I've always been like, I need to get with my whys. Why am I doing whatever I'm doing? Even bad habits. It's like, why do I do what I do? Because you're gonna see it. There's always this root cause to everything, right? But the vague goals, like I want to exercise more. That's very vague. There's no sustenance to it. There's no real plan. There's no big plan or small plan. It's just, yeah, I want to exercise. And that can look like so many different things. One of the things that I realized was when I bought the Fitbit watch, right? And it was just like, okay, I want to make sure I'm doing so many, like, let's say you want to do the 10,000 steps a day. And then I realized, like, shit, I'm like barely at 5,000 steps a day. Wait a minute. I need to crank this up. I need to figure out, do I need to walk more? Do I need to take a walk here or there? Where can I add that extra time in to get it in? Right. I'm like, wait a minute. So I've gotten up to about 8,000 steps, which is cool, which has been rough though, because with that 8,000 steps, I've noticed that my legs are tired. And I'm like, okay, so now I realize, okay, I need to do some strengthening with my legs, because obviously my legs are like, oh, we're too tired for this. We need to do some strengthening to build some muscle, right? So I think a lot of times we're not paying attention to these things and we're pushing ourselves to go way past what we even can handle. And then we get down, we beat ourselves up because we think that we should, oh, I should be doing more. But can you even handle that? So if you start, even if you started out, okay, 5,000, I want to push myself. Well, I need to work up to that and be able to handle it. That's part of the micro goals. It was like, I want to get to that 10,000 steps, but I know there's a couple of other little things I need to do so that I can be successful. Because if I'm trying to do this 10,000 steps, but my legs are sore and achy every time, every day, well, then the next day I'm gonna be like, oh, I don't want to do these steps. I don't want to get out there. I don't want to walk it. You're going to get to this point. You're like, oh my God, not today.
Yes, yes, exactly. And so often we have that 0 to 100 mentality
Right.
where it's, oh, I sit on the couch or at a desk all day, every day.
Yep.
And oh, I was told 10,000 is the number to get. So now I'm trying to get 10,000. And then it becomes exactly like you said,
Right.
oh my goodness, I can't do this. And then you don't want to. And then you dread it. You
Yep.
exercise and all of the habits that you decide to create for whatever your true goal is
Right.
should add to your life. They should never take away. So if
Yep.
it's, oh, I'm spending my whole day trying to do this, that's not really adding to your life.
Right.
So it's okay, how can I incorporate this into my life? And sometimes that is, we've all heard park further, take the stairs,
Yep.
just, but little things like that really can help. And we think, okay, I have to go to the supermarket. I need to get the closest parking spot so that when I'm coming out, I can go right from the car to the supermarket and back and forth. But
Right.
really, we can sneak in different things like steps. And getting increased steps is a great way to start your fitness
Yep.
journey. If, as long as you're able and you're able to walk, then that's a great way to start, because we know that the gym can be overwhelming or intimidating for a lot of people. And walking, as long as you have proper sneakers, that is the only thing that I ask that everybody has when walking. Get proper sneakers, get something with some cushion. But other than that, it's pretty free. You don't even need that special sports bra, us ladies,
Right.
that we need for a lot of other types of working out. And
Right.
then you see where your starting point is. I like to always go by starting point. So, like, you got the Fitbit, see where you're at normally. What is a normal day for you? And
Right.
then see where you can increase it. See if you can go for a 10-minute walk after you eat. See if you can go for a walk maybe with the kiddos, because I know you have your grandsons often,
Hmm.
and it also gets the kids out of the house, because Lord knows it's not like when we were younger and we were always outside and out and about, but it's the computer, the video
Yep.
games, the phones, and knowing that you're also teaching good habits to the
Yeah.
kids or the people in your life. You're being that positive reinforcement, that
Mm.
inspiration, that role model. It will really get you out even more. And that's kind of how I even started. It was like, all right, I want to help inspire other people. What can I do just a little bit more? And that's how I originally started posting certain things
Mhm.
on Facebook, on social media. Like, oh, I'm
Yeah.
doing this challenge. I'm going for a 1 mile run, or I'm going for a 45-minute walk. And then other
Mhm.
people are inspired and you see them doing it. And then by them getting inspired, it inspires me. It inspires others, the ones that are doing it. And it makes you just want to do more. But always, always listen to your body. And we don't have to push the limit. When I tell you, when I first started back in the gym, I committed to 10 minutes, literally 10 minutes. And
Mhm.
sometimes I was in there for that 10 minutes and I was like, man, okay, I really feel good. And I would go for an amazing workout. And then there were other days I went in for that 10 minutes and I was like, I really do not want to be there and be here. I hate it. None of this is enjoyable. And because I only committed to 10 minutes, I left and felt zero guilt. We don't have to feel guilt because,
Right.
again, this is something that's supposed to be adding to our life. So, making those small steps and then building on that.
Mhm.
We don't have to go from 0 to 100. I will never tell somebody, oh, this is your first time in the gym, go lift 100 pounds, because that would be
Right.
crazy. So,
Right.
I'm not gonna tell them to go from, "Oh, I do 0 steps a day or less than 1,000. Okay, I need you to do 10,000 steps starting
Right.
tomorrow."
It's huge. You gotta in that being clear. Like it's okay to say, yeah, I want to get to this point, but there's so much in between
Yeah.
point A and point B or point A and point Z, right? There's all of this in between that we don't even realize. And that is why we don't make it because we're not looking at all of the other things. And then having the micro goals, looking at, okay, where did I start? Damn, I'm barely at 1,000 steps. Whoo, and this was a lot. Like then it's like, okay, well, let me work on keeping this 1,000 steps. And then once this feels like it's not a lot, let me push and let me push. Cause I think at first I was at about like 5,000, 5 to 6,000, I think that. And it was like, oh, okay. So let's work on this. And I think it's been a few weeks. It's at least been a month, I think, since I got um my watch and been doing it. And so now I'm like pushing up to that 8 and I'm like, oh, okay, good, but you have to do it in increments. It can't just be like you're just going to come in here and just be knocking out, especially if you're not doing it or you sit at a desk and all of these things. We don't realize how our muscles are. You have to work those muscles, and it's not going to be just I'm going to go in the gym and I'm going to go in there for 45 minutes. No, I haven't even had the point to add it back into my schedule, which I'm like, okay, summer's about to go, school's about to start again. I don't know. Mornings are not my thing. I always see you doing mornings, and I'm like, I wish I could be that person that just wakes up and go to the gym in the morning. Not it for me, you guys. Just not it. So I'll be the afternoon gym
Exactly.
person.
As you should be, because that's what works for you and your
Right.
schedule. And the I used to actually go to the gym after work,
Hmm.
but I'm an early bird by nature, and
Hmm.
I would wake up and what would I do? I would be there playing on my phone. So
Hmm.
one day I was like, "Oh, let me see if I go to the gym before work." And
Right.
then I was like, "Oh, this wasn't too bad." And I didn't say, "Okay, that's it. I go to the gym before work every
Right.
single day now." It was like, maybe I'll do it again tomorrow." And then tomorrow I did it again.
Right.
And it's about preparing yourself for success. I definitely was not saying, okay, I'm going to go to the gym in the morning and then in the morning trying to get my food ready that I was taking to work, my clothes
Right.
ready so that I could go to the gym, my water bottle ready so I could have it to drink, and then trying to do all of this in the morning where I was feeling rushed. Like,
Right.
no, that wouldn't have worked. And I probably would not be a morning gym person if
Mhm.
that's what I ended up doing, especially when I started.
Right.
Because now there are days where I do not prepare. Most days I do. I still think that's a great habit. But
Mhm.
on the days that I don't, because it's so ingrained in me now that I'm going to the gym before work, I
Right.
can go ahead and get that hustling done and do it because that's already a habit.
Right.
So it was about preparing myself for that success. And no matter what time you're going, for the same person, luckily you work from home, so you have your clothes and things there. But for those of you who don't, have your gym bag ready so that you can go after work if that is the time you want to go. If you're
Right.
going to go after you get home, have your clothes ready so you can go home, get changed, and head out to the gym. Always being as prepared as possible because you want to do the easiest step. Have it ready, whatever the easiest step. And we're talking about the gym and working out, but this could literally be for anything.
Right.
Even for something like the podcast, right? Having your equipment ready for when it's time for you to record. Have your camera, your light, your
Mhm.
microphone, whatever equipment that you are using. So this way, when it's time to record, you just have to go to your spot and then do it. It's always about doing the easiest step first that takes barely any time.
Right. Let's talk about eating because I know that eating is a big one too, where people are constantly like, I want to eat better. And of course, you guys, I know the struggle. I know the struggle. A couple of things I know for me that I've done that I've changed is not withholding things or kind of like shaming myself for food. So I don't withhold anything. I'm not like, oh, I can't eat that because I feel like words are powerful. So I feel like when we put those titles on something being bad or good, then we're kind of eating bad or good. You know what I mean? And so I've really tried to get away from that bad or good foods, but I am becoming more knowledgeable about looking at ingredients. And so I think that that has been one of the steps of not just go to the store and be like, what I think is healthy. Okay, I'm going to go get all these fruits and vegetables, pack the fridge. It's going to die before I get to use any of them, right? And then, oh my God, I'm wasting all this money. And then it's easier to go get this stuff that we think lasts longer on the shelf or it has all these preservatives in it. And so we think because that's, it's there longer, we think that's the answer. But I think it goes down to that really looking at more of those small things, looking ingredients, or maybe not shopping hugely, like maybe not doing a super shopping spree, maybe doing weekly or every couple days. I do every couple days on things. There are stuff that I have at home, but I like to go, so many days and then get things. I don't like to overpack the fridge or overpack the freezer when you can't see what's in there. I don't know how you do it, but I don't like to do those things, having too much around.
Oh, you are absolutely correct because how often we have those big good intentions to go ahead, we're going to eat the healthiest we can eat. And then exactly like you said, everything has practically gone bad. You can't see it in the
Right,
fridge. It's not the easiest to grab.
right,
So you go for what is easy to grab and usually it is not the best ingredients
right.
because the things with the best ingredients we're not making again convenient. We want to make our lives as convenient as possible.
Right.
You look here, you can see in my background. This is my apple that I'm gonna eat after we are finished talking. I have my big old water bottle right
Right,
by me. And for shopping, I get what's in season, especially when we're talking about fruit and vegetables, because
right,
one, it's going to be more affordable.
right.
And two, it's going to usually taste a lot better because it's fresher
Mhm.
and it's just easy to mix things up so you don't completely get bored with the same thing. And our guts. Our guts need a whole lot of things, and the more diversity in fruit and vegetables and those good nutrient dense items that we're eating, the
Mhm.
better that we are going to feel. So, this is where you think about, okay, what can I buy in advance that's going to help me eat these things? Or what can I do in advance that's going to help me eat these things? I am more of the type that says instead of starting with removing everything that is not
Mhm.
so great for you,
Right.
adding in the nutrient dense things, because usually we will become more satisfied with it. We will feel better literally from the inside out when we're eating
Mhm.
things that our bodies truly want. And the more that we eat things like with the high sugar or those preservatives, the more our bodies crave it. And then we're feeding the not so nice bacteria in our bellies.
Definitely.
So we get the opportunity to retrain. And this is again where the small habits help, because you can cut certain things up if you know you're not going to want to do it each and every time you want a certain type of snack. Some people like to have cut up apples, and that's easier for them than grabbing a whole apple. Just cutting up certain vegetables and having it ready and presenting it to the front of your fridge so that you actually will eat it. So you cut up your celery and have your lettuce, and again, making it pretty. We are attracted to pretty things. There is pretty privilege in everything, including our food. So the more appetizing we make it look, the better.
Mhm.
And I love to put different types of seasonings on things
Yeah.
because I'm a meal prepper. I will I can eat the same thing all week. I know everybody cannot do that, but I can. And to change it up, I will maybe season this portion a little bit different. I'm a hot sauce girl, so I might put hot sauce on one type of chicken, maybe barbecue sauce on another. Another just might be oil and vinegar. It can be so many different things. Experiment, play with the flavors that you enjoy. And if you can make it the most natural that it can be,
Mhm.
it can still taste good. We don't have to pack it with all the appetizing we make it look, the better.
Mhm.
And I love to put different types of seasonings on things
Yeah.
because I'm a meal prepper. I will I can eat the same thing all week. I know everybody cannot do that, but I can. And to change it up, I will maybe season this portion a little bit different. I'm a hot sauce girl, so I might put hot sauce on one type of chicken, maybe barbecue sauce on another. Another just might be oil and vinegar. It can be so many different things. Experiment, play with the flavors that you enjoy. And if you can make it the most natural that it can be,
Mhm.
it can still taste good. We don't have to pack it with all the Okay, I'm part Puerto Rican, so you know I grew up with adobo and sazon and all of these
Right.
different things, but they're not always the healthiest for us. So I particularly like that ground up garlic, onion, the different herbs and spices, and I will just pour it on until my ancestors are like, all right, that's enough, chill, put it down. All right, I'm putting it down, and just really playing with flavors. It doesn't have to be boring. It doesn't have to be plain chicken, brown rice, and
Right.
plain broccoli all
Right.
day, every day. There's so many different things that you can do. And again, like you were saying, with looking at the ingredients, I mean, they put a lot of crap in things.
A lot. I had, I love like the waters, the flavored waters. And a lot of them have the most craziest ingredients. And we were drinking one, this bubbler one that, at first it wasn't popular. And then all of a sudden you just see it everywhere. And I'm like, this doesn't look like, why is this all of a sudden popular? And then I came across this guy who was talking about some of the ingredients in it, cyanide, blah, whatever the hell, chemicals. There's these long words, right? And he was talking about like where it comes from. And he was talking about then it's this sludge from sewer plant and they sell it and then they turn it into powder. And I was just like, I'm so over this shit. But really we don't read the boxes. We don't read the ingredients and we are putting these chemicals in. When you realize when you're looking at it, you're like, why am I breaking out? Why is my skin like this? Why do I feel like shit, right? Why am I sluggish? Why am I tired? Why am I exhausted? And you think it's other things and just the tweaking of the food, you're like, wait a minute, I feel better. My gut feels better. I've experienced, I'm still experiencing because it takes a long time to really clean your gut health. And once you get to that point where that bacteria is overgrown, you really have to work to get your gut back. And I'm still not 100% there where my gut is good, right? So I still have to keep enforcing and doing daily things, weekly things, and cleansing. And I'm not just talking about like starvation cleansing, it's really just adding certain, like ginger is one big thing, adding that, and lemon is like a lemon drink that I kind of periodically do, days at a time. But it's doing that constantly because of the stuff and looking at labels. Because now you look at labels, you see these big terms, you're like, what is this? If you Google it, you're like, what the hell am I eating? All to have something that's in an instant. So I've struggled with that. Oh my God, I don't have time to make this. I don't have time to do this from scratch. But then what's the alternative? Well, then you're saying, oh, well, I'm going to eat these chemicals. And then it's like, well, that's your choice, right? So you either make the time, prep, which prepping is really good, or you figure out how to make better choices. Because even me, who's on the run all the time, I'm not eating at Burger King every day. I'm not eating at McDonald's every day. You got to make those choices. It's like, and no one like, I'm like, when you look at the prices, McDonald's is not cheaper than Panera Bread. They're pretty much hand in hand the same shit, right? And so when you look at, you're like, well, what do I do? Making those different choices and tweaking that. Now, I know you're like me. We're not giving up pizza no time soon. I'm not giving up pizza. Pizza will never leave my my table.
Same.
Will always be a food in my life. Sorry, but it's like I don't look at pizza as a bad food. So yeah,
Yeah.
there's probably some places that are better than others, but I don't see it as bad. So I agree with you on that. You really have to like do those things to prep and just change little, and it's little stuff. I've literally been doing little things because consistency is everything, right? And if you can't keep up with one change, how are you going to put 10 changes on? Especially when you have a family too that you're trying to change how you guys eat. And if you've been eating horribly or you've been eating a certain way, so your children are used to the processed food, your children are used to these things, it's not going to be easy just to switch everything and everybody's eating healthy. So it's the little bits, it's adding those salads to dinner. Let's be consistent with this. Can we be consistent with this? And then let's go to the next thing of, okay, what's the next thing we can incorporate, right?
Yes, yes. I mean, obviously, we're not going to be perfect, especially
Right.
those of us in Western society. It is going to be difficult, but go ahead and look at those ingredients and you can compare. Because I know there's people that see me in the supermarket and think I'm comparing calories all the time. But I don't believe in just going for the low fat, low
Nope.
sugar
Nope.
diet type options
Right.
because sometimes the whole fat one is technically healthier for you, even if it does
Right.
have more calories.
Right.
So these are things that we have to look at and think, okay, are these unnatural sugars really doing anything good for us versus just having this little something with the quote unquote real sugar. Like I
Right.
said, your gut will continue to crave the sugar, but it's not craving it any less with the artificial sugar. So when you are having that craving,
Right.
there's this thing called moderation. We've all heard of it. You
Yeah.
go ahead, get that little taste of it, go ahead and then move forward. Also, don't sit
Mhm.
in that guilt because you've had it. It's like, "Oh, I wanted a cookie so bad and now I had it and I've crushed everything, so I might as well go ahead and eat the rest of the bag."
Right.
And one of the analogies I like to say here is if you get a flat tire on your car, are you going to go and puncture the other 3 tires? No.
Hopefully not.
I would hope not. I really, really hope not. But this is where we have to take this into consideration. Okay, we've had this cookie or this cake or whatever the treat is, or even if it is the Burger King or the McDonald's or whatever. All right, we did it. So now, what can we do now? We can go ahead, say that we enjoyed whatever that treat was, and now go ahead and move forward back to our healthy eating. This weekend, I definitely did not eat the healthiest. I normally eat vegetables with most of my meals. I am focused on a higher protein diet, and I was just eating any which way because I had a couple of events. And
Right.
instead of saying, oh my gosh, I'm going to beat myself up, or now I'm going to try to do double, triple time in the gym to make up for it. No, it was like, all right, it happened. I enjoyed it. Now let's move on. Where's my salad? And I made myself a nice salad and I enjoyed the heck out of it.
Right.
And there was no abuse to myself. You should never be going to the gym to beat yourself up for what you've eaten. I don't even think for anyone that is a healthy mentality.
Nope, nope. I know even we have like this vacation. One of the kiddos is here visiting, so we've been doing all types of eating. And literally, I do not do the guilt tripping. You know, you eat what you eat. That's what we ate. You deal with it and move on. But once he goes home, definitely got to go back to go back to the program and being a little bit more stricter with what we're consuming. But let's jump over to measurable progress. So, what can some ways where people can really track their progress and stay? I know journaling is going to be one of those things because you can write it down and effectively look at that. But when we're talking about any, and you can incorporate this, of course, to anything that you're trying to change, even if it's like, oh, I want to, you know, maybe read more, and it's like you want to push yourself to read more. Well, then it's like, well, how many pages do you want to try to read a day? And, putting that, what's the measurable progress? Of course, reading, you can actually see that you're getting further in the book.
No, but you're absolutely correct because we have to measure what we're doing to see how
Mhm.
close we're getting to our goal and see how we're feeling. And I love that you mentioned journaling because when you are doing a new habit, a habit that you believe is good for you and is going to get you to your goal, you can see how you feel and you can assess and reassess and see, okay, this is feeling good, this is working for me. All right, this I'm doing it, but it doesn't feel good. And I'm not so sure if this is still the same goal that I had because, and it's just easy to go back to weight. But oftentimes people start with their weight loss journey as I just want to lose weight. And sometimes as you're there, it becomes less about I want to lose weight. And sometimes it's I want to feel healthier because you start feeling how good you feel when you start doing healthy habits for yourself. And then that becomes the goal. Or you start off again trying to lose weight. I hope you don't hear that siren in the background. Um, anyway, and it becomes, oh, wow, I really feel like I'm getting stronger.
Right.
And then you want to really build up your strength. And so then, just like with the reading, you measure what have you done today and how can you progress that? what can you do different and how far have you gotten? Because
Right.
if you're, again, lifting those 5 pound weights that you started in the gym, when you've been there for a while and you've been consistent, you're definitely not going to stay on 5 pounds
Yep.
because you're not going to see any progress. And
Mhm.
it's the same thing, like how we were talking about the steps earlier. If
Yep.
you just continue there with the same 5,000 steps, you're not going to see progress in that. And it could be that you want to be faster or you want to be able to do more steps. So again, you're measuring, you're seeing, okay, how long does it take me to get from point A to point B? And just in the sense of the health and fitness and weight loss goals, obviously we have the scale.
Mhm.
Crazy enough, that is my least favorite measurement, but
Me
I
too.
know, yeah, it's the most easily accessible to a lot of people and easy to
Right.
read because you just get on. But
Yeah.
honestly, have a clothing item that
Mhm.
you have and see how it fits. Take pictures, please, people. Please, please, please take pictures.
Yep.
I remember getting on my best friend about this when she started her journey and she refused. And then what does she say now that she's lost a ton of weight? Man, I wish I had
Yeah.
pictures from when I started. And
Mhm.
I was like, I'm gonna shut up. I'm not gonna say I told you so, but of course that was me kind of telling her I told you so. But it's true. There's things like
Yeah.
taking your measurements and again, seeing how you feel because your energy goes up, your stamina. For some people,
Right.
you're sleeping better and things just continue. And when we're eating well, even our skin tends to glow and tends
Definitely.
to look better and improve. So
Mhm.
again, this is why we love, love, love pictures. And we have those health markers also because your vital signs, your blood pressure, your heart rate tends to get to a better range. The
Yeah.
A1C, which is your blood sugar control for those who are the difference between being diabetic and non-diabetic, your cholesterol. There's these different measurements, and we don't have to stick to just one. And again, let's say we're bringing this to something else. Just let's go with the podcast again, because I mentioned it before. Okay, so you started here, you had one podcast, and then as you continue to move on, you're seeing you can listen to it. Is it getting better? Is it
Right.
improving? You can get feedback from other people to see how you're doing. Are you getting more comfortable? Is the platform growing? You can again assess, is this going in the direction that I would like for it to be going, or is there something that needs to change? Because there's always room to change, just like with the weight. If we're going jumping right on back, you can see, okay, these pair of pants that I have as my comparison pants, they're not budging. What can I do differently? Because
Right.
again, there's always something to do different. And when you're actually monitoring these things, you can just go from, oh, I'm doing everything right. Why is it not working? To
Mhm.
seeing, okay, maybe I'm not quite doing everything that I could be.
Right.
So, how can I reevaluate and change something up?
Right. And that's what's good to having the micro goals because you can give yourself 3 weeks or 4 weeks to do things and then kind of look back. And I tested this theory back in 2021. I was working with a trainer and I was testing this theory of watching and really looking and doing the weigh ins weekly and all of those things, the pictures. And granted, I lost like 30 pounds, but then I plateaued at that 30 pounds. And it was like, I went to 1,200 carbs and all this stuff we're doing, right, and watching everything that I'm eating. And then my thing was to also prove the healing aspect to what we're doing. And that's when we talked about earlier in the show about mental health and healing, because a lot of these things that we're trying to do are incorporated with these things: your traumas, your wounds, your mental health. And if you do not incorporate those on what you're doing, you're going to plateau somewhere. You're going to be like, what the hell is going on? Why can I get past that? And of course you have to seek somebody who can assist you, of course, in those, because not everybody's your trainer at the gym is probably not going to be well versed in spiritual stuff and trauma, right? But luckily Louisa is she has the spiritual aspect, so she has the trauma stuff down. But you're probably not going to find that with everyone, just like your therapist is probably not going to have the fitness side. It's okay to have a couple of different people helping you, but understanding that they all go together. So if you're plateauing somewhere, there's some deeper stuff you're missing, and you need to figure that part out, not just kill yourself like, oh my God, what am I not doing? And now I got to starve myself, right? And then it's really something else that's connected to why you're not progressing to the next level, right? I love that you brought up podcasting, because one of the things that I've done as I've been working through each season is, how do I better articulate what I want to say? How do I get better at that? And so each episode and each season, I kind of progressed little by little on what can I do? And those things look like reading more, watching people who speak, watching other podcasts of people, what they talk and how they say things, working on it. In this semester, I'll be taking a speech class just to kind of, do a little bit more. But it's those measurable things where you can look at it and be like, okay, let me see, how can I incorporate this? And I get notes before. So whoever I'm interviewing, I do the notes. I have some notes to just kind of jog what I want to say. So there are these things that you actually could do 3 weeks and watch, or a couple months, instead of it being, okay, let's say I want to lose 150 pounds. Well, 150 pounds is not going to go in 1 month, right? So my long-term goal could be 150 pounds, but my micro goals are most likely going to be within a few weeks, every few weeks, looking at, what am I changing? What am I being consistent with? Where do I need to tweak this plan, right? Because
Yes.
then a year passes by and maybe I'm closer to that goal, because I have looked at it more closely, versus it just like 150 and I have no other plan that goes with that, right? And that would be when we come into looking at those setting achievable goals. Those are that 3 weeks looking at, well, if you're doing 5 pounds and now you're just cranking out those 5 pounds out, maybe I need to go to the next step, right? But if you look at it within increments of that time frame, that's the achievable part. So that would go into setting deadlines also, correct? Having in the micro goals, having that maybe 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and then stop and look, okay, where am I? Where's the progress, versus let me do 6 months and I've only lost 5 pounds in 6 months.
Yeah, yeah. No, I am completely on board with you right there because, again, that's where those assessments have to come into play, as well as accountability. And whether that's holding yourself accountable, I know a lot of us have trouble with that. And this is where you bring somebody else, whether myself or a coach, another coach, or a trainer or anybody. You want to have that dependability of support so that you can say, okay, I've done this. This is the result of that for this time frame. What, where can we go from here? And sometimes we think, okay, I, oh, and we also say, I'm going to try
Right.
to lose X, Y, and Z amount of
Yep.
that goes back into what I was talking about earlier with the confidence. You have
Hmm.
to be confident that you can do it, whether that's starting your podcast, losing weight, eating healthier, reading more pages, whatever it is. Believe that you can, because what we believe is what we achieve. So if we believe we can do it, we're more likely to do it. If we believe that we can't, then we're most likely not going to. But I definitely like the about 3 weeks of assessment. And
Mhm.
then it's like, okay, what can we do different? And I love that you had mentioned earlier the 1200 calories, because I absolutely hate it. And almost nobody should be eating 1200 calories.
Right.
I don't care how much weight you need to lose. I don't care about anything. That's just not enough to sustain you. I mean, if I'm
No.
going to be honest, I could eat 1200 calories in one meal, even if
It
it's a healthy meal.
it's not. You literally, and then when you're, that's why I said, like, I've tried and tested a lot of these things. I'm a testament to them, to where it wasn't enough to fuel me to do my workouts. So I'm barely on 1200. How am I getting the fuel to maintain my workouts daily, right? And then you're just drinking water. Water, yes, cleanses and clears you and is beautiful, but it's not giving you the boost that you need. So that whole counting calorie thing, I think, is bullshit. But that's just my opinion.
I'm okay with counting calories, especially short term, just
Mm,
again, because I'm a numbers girl. I like data. So
mm,
I want to see where you're at,
mm,
and just so that you can alternate your goals and really figure out what you need and where you're missing,
mm,
because all of us need protein. Protein is the building block of this wonderful body that we all have, and it's pretty important. And a lot of people are afraid of carbs and fats. Those are both fuel sources. Okay. Carbs are our quick acting energy.
mm.
Fats will be our little bit longer sustaining energy. So I'm big on making sure that you're getting both. Let's think of it like a car, right? Protein, that is what our car is built of. And the fats and the carbs are our oil and our gas. And we need all of these components to
Mhm.
live a healthy, sustainable life. And that's why I don't mind measuring just for a little bit, even only a week. You
Okay.
start with a week of just seeing where you're at, and a week to get to about just, and you're not measuring for calories and everything. You're just
Mhm,
making sure you are fueled and you have something to fuel. And
mhm.
then you can go ahead, throw it back out the window if counting is not for you. It's just, again, data. And even the weight and the measurements and all of those things, when we can look at it as data versus this is going to make me or break me, because sometimes you get on that scale and some people are just completely crushed and
Mm,
discouraged and don't want to do anything else because they don't like the number, or they get on and they feel inspired and they're
mhm.
kicking butt and they're like, okay, I can do this forever. But like you said before, you're going to plateau. And so if you're having all of these emotions attached to
Yep.
something that is just meant to be data, it's not going to help you in the long run. And I know I go around a lot, but it's like these thoughts just come, and I
Mhm.
know so many people are doing this and just
Yeah.
hurting themselves because you're hurting yourself mentally. And what did we say before? When you're
Right.
not doing well mentally, you're not going to do as well physically with attaining those goals.
Right. Right. It goes hand in hand, definitely. I just don't like measuring like peanuts and shit like that. Like when it comes to, like, because you have a little bag of nuts and stuff, and that's where I'm like, oh, how many peanuts did I eat?
I get it. I get it. I get it.
Other than
Just
that, I'm okay.
grab a nice little handful and you should be okay. Not a full handful, but a little handful, and then you're fine. Then you don't have to measure. And some people are like, okay, vegetables, you don't have to measure at all.
Mhm.
Everybody is a little bit different. You don't even have to just do numbers. You can use
Mhm.
the palm of your hand or different things. And again, it's just to get a head start. And because, like I said, I'm big on increasing protein, because protein, again, like I said, the building
Mhm.
block of the body, right? But it's good for our bone health, for our muscle
Right.
health, for our hair, skin, and nails. It's good to help us lose weight. It's good to help us gain mass. It's good for even like our brain health and so many different things. So I know we get caught up on, okay, don't have more protein than the size of your hand. I
Right.
probably double that because, like I said, I'm a big protein girl. And I want to make sure that I'm getting that, like you said, to fuel and help my workouts, give all of those carbs and fats and things that I eat something
Mhm.
to build on so that I can have those strong muscles and those strong bones. We need to eat. Please eat, people. Do not eat.
It's crazy because I'm not a morning eater. And I've had a lot of people try to push me to eat in the morning. I'm not a morning eater. I'm like the person who sits with their coffee and wakes up. So that's me. But I will tell you, because I do agree with that protein, I have added the shake. So whether it is the protein shake or some type of shake, which I don't do too many different ones, just like I have an organic one that's really plain, it's no real taste to it. But that's because, of course, I talk about clearing my gut. So you can't have a lot of different sugars and stuff when you're doing it. So if I have coffee, it's the plain shake. It is what it is because I'm not an eater. So then by the afternoon, that's when I'm hungry. So that early afternoon, that's when I really start to feel hungry. That's when I'm going to eat my first meal because that's me. And that's what you're going to play with when you're doing this. You're going to play and find your normal, your regular. And everyone has their ways to do things. And it's not all going to work. I can't do fasting. Not that I can't make it, I can make it. It just doesn't help my body. It does nothing for me. So there's no reason for me to fast 18 hours. I can fast 18 hours and don't lose a pound. And these are the things that I've played with, but you have to play with all of these things to figure out what is going to work for you, what is your body type, what your hormones and any of those things. You could be borderline diabetic, not know, and all of these things that kind of coincide together, I think are huge. And just play with it until you figure out what definitely works for you. What is your thing? And then be consistent with that, right? But this
Yes.
is where the micro goals, because you're never going to learn that if you don't set yourself up with small increments and be like, oh, this is not working. I'm not going to do this for 6 months. Like, well, that's not going to be it. I know we're going to end this, and I wanted to talk about real quick of the celebration and reflection point of things. So when we're looking at what I know the fact of stepped on the scale and be like, oh my God, especially when I didn't understand. Well, muscle weighs more than fat. So when I didn't have that knowledge and being depressed, getting on the scale, I'm like only a pound. Like I did all this work and I've only lost a pound, but then understanding what does that pound look like in fat? You know what I mean? Like visually. And I think if you can get some of those, you can have these celebrations and you can reflect on your progress. And the micro goals, 3 weeks pass by, you're going to be like, oh man, I've done a lot in this 3 weeks, right?
Yes, yes. And you should always be celebrating. Always celebrate your body and your achievements. And it's not, again, just about what you lose, but what you were able to do. So, yeah, sometimes we think, man, I did all this work and I only lost a pound, like you said, because muscle is denser than fat. So it's way more condensed. But
Right,
also, were you able to do what you did in that time in the past? Were
right,
you able to go ahead and move your body as much? That's a celebration. That's what I want you to say. Oh my goodness, I am so proud of me. And
right,
when you're thinking, wow, my back doesn't hurt the way that it did, or my hip can move a little bit
right,
differently. That's a celebration. And not that you shouldn't celebrate when you lose weight. I know I over exaggerated it before, but I don't want all of your happiness to ride on that one data entry.
right.
It's part of the equation, not the whole equation. Because again, like you just said,
Mhm.
muscle, right? It's going to appear heavier than the same amount of fat because of the way our bodies hold it. So be happy, celebrate, but look at it as a whole, not one factor at a time.
Right. Yeah. If you just look at it at what Like, if you just look at it that way, like, oh my God, just the weight, and you don't look at what you accomplished or what routines you've instilled, or actually learning what you can and can't do, or what you like and what you don't like, all of those are wins. Well, you know what to change, you know what to switch, you know what to try. And all of that is huge to celebrate. Well, I'm more knowledgeable now than I was 3 weeks ago, right?
Yes.
Beauty of it. So I definitely, anything else you want, just the viewers and listeners to kind of know about micro goals. And I think everything we've talked about coincides. You can apply it to anything that you're doing, and having these. I've tried and tested a lot of this, Louisa, too, to where we can tell you it does work if you break it down in increments and really give yourself the motivation to do these things. Even if you're like, oh, I want to write a book, and then what does that look like? Okay, what are you going to do daily to put that effort into it? Same thing with the podcast. I know you probably do it too. Every day I'm touching the podcast a little bit, whether it's an hour here. Maybe this day I don't really have a lot to work on editing or anything. So I just do an hour. Maybe this day I have 4 hours to dedicate to my podcast. You know, it's all of that of the daily, and every couple of weeks let me look at where am I at. I periodically am looking, how many episodes do I have for this season? All of these things. I'm like, let me sit down. Even like we have the book club, so we started a book club. We have a Facebook group and started a book club. We are finishing one book that I'm actually going to do a podcast on, and we'll talk about that book and the powerful book that it is. But it's been inspiring, and we've been inspiring each other just to keep reading. And those are also things. You want more knowledge, pick up books. Okay. That's how you're going to get it. I have already picked out my next book that I want to do, and we will talk about that later, y'all.
Brrr. Ah, exciting, exciting. Yes. But the thing to know is one, start with believing that you can achieve your goal. And again, we're setting ourselves up for success. Prepare the easiest step in advance so that you don't have to think about it. We're not going from 0 to 100. We're building up. You start with one micro habit, get accustomed to that. You're building on to the next one. And we're doing these things simultaneously so that we can make it into a major habit instead of just the micro habits. The micro habits are building on one another. So just keep on moving forward. Believe it, you will achieve it. And you get the choice to again create the life that you want to live. You get to create the life and the person that you want to be. Focus on the process. Once you get your why, now it becomes about the process, not the end goal.
I love it. Thank you for coming on. And Louise has been a big inspiration. I tell her this all the time. She's been a big inspiration for me over the years of just seeing her doing things, especially her workouts. She is consistent with that shit. So if you just watch her shit, you will have inspiration and motivation on a daily basis. I will have all of her links in the description of wherever you're listening to this podcast. And you guys go check her out. Go follow her. Definitely, you'll want to. She has a lot of tips, a lot of stuff. Go listen to the podcast. Also, it is for women. Men, I'm sorry. Hers is for women. It focuses on women's health and fitness. It is what it is. But you could still go over there and listen.
Right, right. There's a couple of things that they can grab some info out. Maybe not my menopause series unless they want to share with a lovely lady in their life or
Right.
know a little bit more about what's going on with women's bodies.
Right. I was going to say they definitely can share it to the sister, mother, girlfriend, wife, all of that stuff. Definitely share it to them and tell them to go check it out. So until next time, you guys, of course, we'll definitely have Louisa back because we always have some awesome conversations and information for you. So hopefully you take that away today. So until next time, bye.